Did you know that Americans cannot tell the difference between Switzerland and Sweden? That's at least a stereotype that we here in Switzerland have about Americans. And as we were traveling around the world, we got actually confronted with a few stereotypes concerning Switzerland. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. First, I'll go over some stereotypes that I've heard when we were traveling around and whether there's some truth to them. And then I'll also give you some tips if you ever wanted to visit Switzerland so that you don't get surprised, because I've also worked with a lot of tourists in my previous job and I became aware that there are actually some big misconceptions concerning Switzerland. About Sweden and Switzerland, it's actually true that people seem to confuse them from time to time. It has not only happened in the USA, it has also happened a lot in South America. That might also be because the country names are very similar. Suecia. Very similar, so I can understand that they confuse it, but Sweden and Switzerland are not really similar. Well, anyways, as we go up this mountain, which I've never been before, I'll tell you more. And here I thought today was supposed to be nice weather. I actually had really bad weather lately. Today was supposed to be sunny, but as you see, I'm going up there and at the moment it's all behind the clouds, but I hope it gets better. But anyways, there's this other stereotype of Switzerland that we are all rich because of banks and being a tax haven and whatever. And actually, I guess there's some truth to it. Switzerland does have one, if not the highest median wage in the world, if you don't count city-states like Monaco. But you should never forget that we also have probably the most expensive city in the world. Well, at least Zurich is like in the top 3 all the time. Just think about this. In the McDonald's ranking, Switzerland is at the highest place. You get a Big Mac meal at McDonald's for, I think, $17, way higher than in any other country in the world. And that's often used to compare the cost between different countries. Coming with the high prices of McDonald's also come high wages, because in McDonald's you make $20 an hour working here in Switzerland. Maybe I shouldn't talk walking uphill. High wages, high costs would mean that we are not much richer than others, but thankfully we also have very low taxes, which also helps that we have something left at the end of the month. And when we go outside of Switzerland with that money, we can buy a lot, except electronics. Electronics are cheaper in Switzerland than in most other countries that I've been to. And cows are everywhere, right? Wait, that's not cows, that's goats. I guess goats are everywhere? Well, right now there are goats here, but I've passed some cows before, and cows are actually everywhere in Switzerland, believe me. But here, see, they almost want to be touched. Cute, right? Hi. Ich kann nicht zum Essen. Cuties, darf ich durchlaufen, ohne dass ihr mich umbringt? Whoop. Whoop. And the trail is up that way. Yes, as I said, cows are everywhere. Even where I grew up in the city of Zurich, I actually grew up surrounded by cows. Not as extreme as it sounds, but yeah, there were cows around. But beautiful goats. If you like hiking, Switzerland will be easy for you. It has the best hiking trails that I've ever seen. Well, I've not hiked in many places, but in some areas that are known for hiking, and I've never seen hiking trails as good as here in Switzerland. This, for example, is the sign for mountain hiking trail. Usually if you follow this, you will never get lost. So really easy. You are from Switzerland, so you must be used to mountains, right? Or you are from Switzerland, so you must be used to altitude, right? There's actually 2 misconceptions in that statement. Wait, let me get to a safer position. First, while the Swiss Alps are amazing and notorious, and they make out 60% of Switzerland, and there are also some other mountains called the Jura Mountains that make out 10% of Switzerland. There's actually the less known Central Plateau, which makes about 30% of Switzerland, but where 75% of people live. So most of us don't live in the mountains, and actually I didn't visit the Swiss Alps a lot during my childhood. And also about the altitude. I live at an elevation of 400 meters above sea level, which is about 1,200 feet. And the highest point of Switzerland is about 4,700, 4,800 meters above sea level, which is way lower than the highest point in most continents, except Oceania. And that's considered also to be the highest mountains in Europe. You can imagine, we're not living very high. And there are no towns above 2,000 meters above sea level. I think that the highest permanently inhabited town is 1,700 meters above sea level or something like that. So way lower than many places we've been to during the around the world trip. It means no, we are not really adapted to the altitude because we don't live up in the mountains, and also the mountains are not that high. So when we go to the Kilimanjaro, when we go to Cusco, to the Andes mountains, we still have to get adapted to that altitude. Sure, we might have a better time than someone who lives at sea level, but not that much better time. You must be used to the cold, right? Or how can you even stand this heat coming from Switzerland? That's some questions that we have actually heard during our around the world trip. Sorry, what? I guess that comes from those pictures of the snow-covered Swiss Alps that everyone sees and everyone has in mind when they think about Switzerland. But we do have seasons, we do have hot, we do have cold. In Switzerland, the highest temperature ever measured is 42 degrees Celsius, and the lowest temperature ever measured is about minus 42 degrees Celsius. I know the coldest temperature is not up high in the mountains at 4,800 meters. That's actually an inhabited town in the Jura Mountains in the northwestern Switzerland at about 1,000 meters above sea level. Lately, we are used to getting temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius in summers. It also means that winters are less cold. I think we didn't even have a single day below minus 10 degrees Celsius last year in Switzerland, or last winter. So this concludes the part about the misconceptions that we've encountered while traveling around the world. And now it starts to get tough, so I have to take a little break from filming. Let me know if you've actually encountered some of those misconceptions or if you've had them yourself. And now let's get to the part where I give you some tips if you are ever visiting Switzerland for the first time. That's all from experience, from things that I've experienced when meeting with tourists. As we are getting at the top, the sun is actually peeking through a little bit and the fog is dissipating. As you can see here around me, right now we are 2,306 meters. Up here. It's called Hinterruck. And actually here in front of me, I think it should open up to the Lake of Wallen, the Wallensee. Let's see. As you can see, it's not looking very good at the moment. Actually at this place where the left side, on the right side, and actually back there you can see the lake a little bit. Just a little bit. And the city, well, the town of Wallen, I think also. Well, anyways, while I wait here for the view to get a little bit better, let me get into the things that you should know if you've never been to Switzerland and you want to go there. Things that I've actually seen tourists in Switzerland ask or being surprised by. The first one is we are not part of the European Union. Sure, the borders nowadays are open as long as it's not COVID. You can cross between Switzerland and its neighboring countries without any special immigration. But still, we don't use the euro, we use the Swiss francs. For you, that means don't take euro bills to pay in Switzerland with. Yes, you can do it, most places accept it, but obviously you will get a really bad exchange rate. You will pay like 10 or even 20% more than what you would pay for in Swiss francs. So always take Swiss francs with you, or pay by card, of course. And because we are not in the European Union, we have a different plug than the European Union. Yes, your American plug, your British plug, your Indian plug, your Australian plug, your German plug, those won't work in Switzerland. You need a special one. Well, you can easily get an adapter, although yeah, expect them to be like at least $10. European data plans won't work in Switzerland because Switzerland is considered a different region. I've actually had tourists coming to Switzerland asking me why their European SIM card won't work, or they bought one in Germany and they had told them it would work everywhere in Europe. No, they don't. Yes, if you buy one in Germany, you will probably be able to use it in Italy, France, Sweden, but not in Switzerland. Switzerland, you'll need a different data plan. It's opening up a little bit more. Check this out, so beautiful. But let's give it a little bit more time. So another thing that many people don't seem to realize is that Switzerland has 4 official languages. Those are German, French, Italian and Romansh. We don't have like a lingua franca, which means we don't have a language that everyone speaks. Nowadays we even use English to communicate between each regions. But that means that don't expect people in Western Switzerland to speak German or people in Southern Switzerland to speak speak French, or people in the German-speaking areas to speak French or Italian. Been walking around down there so often. I've always wondered if it's possible to get up here, because from down there this looks very steep, but from the back you can actually go up. Awesome. Related to languages, don't come to Switzerland if you want to learn German. It's fine if you want to learn Italian or French, but in the Swiss German part we really have bad relationship to High German, which is the official German. We don't like to use it. We avoid using it. In the everyday life, we barely use it. We use it when writing in official documents or at work, and most of us are even forgetting to use it. It's just not the best place to learn German. If you want to learn German, go to Germany. If you want to learn Swiss German, then come here. Then you even get to choose which one you want, because the dialects are very, very different from region to region. Sometimes we don't even understand each other if we are from two different places. It's actually getting a little bit worse again, sadly. Well, there's actually not much else. I'll stay up here a little bit more, see if it opens up again, because right now it has closed up completely again. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment, tell me what you think about what I said, what you've experienced yourself, what you thought about this video, what you thought about this non-view. So, see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.